Hi, it's Karen here from the Motoromers and welcome to our latest video in the Wellbeing Resource Library. So today's session, Grasping Our New Reality, gives us a chance to take a look at how our bodies biologically are dealing with this situation, and more importantly, what we can do to control it in order to cope through COVID in a more effective way. Through the last couple of months, with the level of uncertainty across the whole world, there's no doubt that our stress levels have soared tremendously. Our anxiety is high, our coping mechanisms are strained. We're perhaps not sleeping so well, we're not feeling in peak condition. We're angry, we're frustrated, we're upset. We have dilemmas and decisions to make all the while, trying to support our loved ones, keep our family safe, and keep ourselves safe. All of these things play on our mind, and all of those emotions, all of those thoughts, the whole situation is really taking its toll on our bodies. So when we can understand what our bodies are going through whilst we're navigating this crisis, through that understanding, we can actually empower ourselves to take action that puts us back in the driving seat. At this moment in time, we don't feel in control. We can't go out, we can't shop, we can't support our loved ones. Maybe we're not working, we have the kids at home. And so this is a really intense situation for us. We're not conditioned, trained, prepared for any of this. And we are dealing with it the best way we can. Although wouldn't it be good if we had some resources that would help us cope better? And that's where we're going to go today. I believe that our mind is like a muscle. And just like we would exercise our muscles physically, we need to keep our minds sharp, alert, and positive and work those muscles as well. So how are we reacting to this situation? What is this new reality? And what is our body's response to that? Well, probably the best way I can answer that is to ask you to imagine a caveman. Let's call him Sid. Sid leaves his cave in the morning. He takes himself out in the jungle to try and hunt and gather food for his family. And all the while, he operates in a state called the fight and flight syndrome. In a technical term, this is known as the sympathetic system. And it's where the body biologically prepares us for the situation we're about to go into. For our caveman Sid, that's a very highly intense situation, full of uncertainty, full of anxiety, full of the unknown, very much like what we're experiencing right now. And what happens to him biologically is that his heart rate increases. The blood and oxygen goes down to his legs so that he can run, his arms so that he can battle. He's ready on high alert to take action, either fighting action or running away action. Whilst his anxiety might be high, his heart rate is fast, his breathing is probably quite high up in his chest, and he's alert. I call this the meerkat syndrome. If you've ever seen them on the TV, they're always high alert. Their movements are very quick. Their eyes are open. They're sharp. They're listening. Their hearing is acute. Is there a threat? Is there any danger? What action do they need to take? And this is what's happening for Sid when he's out hunting and gathering. Short term, for Sid, this is okay because his body is putting the energy where it needs to be. And for an acute moment of time, his body can cope with this. So Sid has his saber-toothed tiger and takes it back to the cave, where his family greet him. He's surrounded by love. There's no threat. There's no difficult situation to handle. He can now relax. This is called the parasympathetic system. I like to call this the chill out zone, because this is where Sid will now relax. There is no fight to be had. There is no running away to be done. The threat has gone. the stress has disappeared and his anxiety levels can now be rebalanced. The body biologically now takes it into a different state where the energy goes into his digestive system. So the food that he's about to consume will now have all the nutrients taken from it. The blood goes from his legs and his arms and his heart into his stomach, into his colon. And this is the place where Sid can now heal. He can sleep, he can rest, and his body is in a very relaxed place. Now, these two different states can really help us understand some of what this new reality is about. The coronavirus has put us into a meerkat situation where we are on high alert. Our eyes are finely tuned to the television, our ears acutely listening to every sound that is now magnified because the traffic is just at a standstill. There is nothing out there now. The bird song is just so high pitched now. I don't know if you've noticed. Although we are in this fight and flight situation because we don't know what's around the corner. If we go out on our daily exercise, are we going to meet someone who'll cough in our face? Can we keep 2 meters apart? What if we're a key worker and come home to our family and we start displaying symptoms? These are all putting us on a high alert. And this is a chronic situation. It's not an acute one. It's one that at the moment has no ending to it. And so it puts us in a very demanding situation biologically because we don't have any respite for our body to heal, for our digestive system to work, because our heart rate is constantly high, our breathing constantly shallow, our blood pressure constantly high, and we're in a fight and flight situation almost every day. Long term, this does a lot of damage to our immune system that under so much duress cannot fight disease. It puts pressure on our heart. It makes us mentally feel unwell because of all the negative thoughts, the regrets of the past, the worry about the future, and it's driving us insane. And we have so little time to spend in our chill out zone because Corona and everything around it is just putting us in this intense situation. We don't get value from our walking because it just feels very perfunctory. We're certainly not getting the nutrition from the lovely food that we're eating because our biology is still in this meerkat situation. So if this is our reality, what can we do about it? Knowing that this is what Corona is creating for us at a biological level, is there anything that we can do to make our health better mentally and physically and to take us from the meerkat to the chill out zone? Yes, there absolutely is. Recognizing that we're in this situation is the first step. Being in tune with how we feel, what we're thinking, what our heart rate is doing, where our breathing is. Actually, they are all clues about our stress levels and our anxiety. And maybe trying to understand why you feel that way can be really helpful. What are your triggers? Is it because you're furloughed and out of work at the moment? Is it because the kids are running around your feet? Or perhaps it's because the shadow of fear, the uncertainty is so big that it keeps you in this stressful, intense, chronic situation. So when we can understand those triggers and what that means for us, we can then start taking action. And through today, I want to make sure that we feel empowered to take control of our stress and reduce it, to limit our anxiety, and more importantly, to squash some of this fear. So there are two types of actions that we can take to get back in control. The first one, a set of passive actions. They're ones that don't require us to physically necessarily do anything. We just almost surrender to what's happening around us. We put the radio on, or we play our favorite music. Miles and I often work in silence because we're blogging or we're creating videos. And so what we notice is when we put the radio on, it completely changes the energy around us and actually lifts us quite significantly, makes us feel more positive. And so this can be a really important way to shift our state from meerkat to chill zone. Another passive way we can cope better is to put the television on, just not the media. Turn it off of the news and put it onto a film. There are so many resources out there, free ones as well as paid ones, where you can find your favorite TV program and indulge yourself in catching up with some box sets. Not only is it a great diversion tactic, it's also just a place where you can sit, be still, and get into this chill out zone. Your energy biologically then takes itself into your digestive system and allows you to recuperate. If any of you have got pets, they are a fantastic passive way of supporting you during this stressful time. Just being able to take the comfort of an animal by the side of you, stroking their fur, can be so calming. What about some things we can do actively? Well, one of the first things you can do is exercise. After a tricky week, I decided one of the things I needed to do to get back on top was to go out for a run. Now, I'm not particularly built for running, although I know it makes me feel better. So whether it's doing some exercise from an online program like Joe Wicks's, or our very own Fitness with Andy video, or whether you're going to do some yoga or a run, take that time out. The second thing you can do is focus on the breath. Typically when we're stressed, our breath is up here in the top half of our lungs. And actually our lungs go right down towards our belly button. And we don't use that part of our lungs enough. And when we actually engage our breathing from the bottom of our lungs, it puts us in that chill out zone. It diverts our attention, it reduces our blood pressure, and it slows our heart rate down. So for all sorts of reasons, from a health point of view, focusing on our breathing is such an important way we can learn to cope. And it is simple as just focusing on the breath in and the breath out. And just doing a number of rounds of that, maybe 5 or 10, you'll notice an instant change within your body. The fourth way we can actively disengage from our meerkat state into our chill out zone is by thinking about your favorite place, whether that's the beach, maybe the mountains, a forest, a lake, doesn't matter where it is. Imagine a scene, almost like building a movie set. You can look at the color of the sea, of the sand, of the sky, and make those colors really intense. Listen to the sounds, the sound of the waves as they crash into the shore, maybe a seagull, maybe children laughing, whatever it is that's going to bring that smile to your face. Notice the smells, use every sense, the smell of the salt air, of the seaweed, and put yourself into that movie. Notice where you are you walking, are you swimming? As you build this picture, notice what's happening, even as I'm describing it to you now. Your mind is engaged in thinking about your particular movie, your special place. And even without realizing, your stress and anxiety levels will start to have come down. So imagine if you can actively do this when you notice your anxiety levels particularly high anytime during the day. You take yourself to that special place. You play out that movie. And even if it's just for 5 minutes, and you can tie that in with your breath, how amazing could that be? So there are some examples of passive and active actions that you can take that put you in control of how you're feeling. whilst our bodies react to stress and to situations at a biological level, we can shift our state from one of a meerkat to one in a chill out zone, where we can really repair, heal, and cope in a more effective way. I'm going to be producing some more videos around the breath and also a guided relaxation that helps us to actively put us back in charge. Although I hope for now, some of what we've talked about today, both in terms of understanding what happens for us biologically when we're faced with a chronically stressful situation as COVID, and more importantly, what actions we can take to be back in control and to feel better and healthier. I really hope that's given you a bit of an insight and some coping mechanisms to tackle some of your fears and anxieties. Let's empower ourselves to feel better, to cope well, and to fight this battle. So this is Karen from the Motoromers, wishing you health and safety during this difficult time. And I'll see you on the next video. Bye for now.